Hey YouTube, Jay Kilroy here with a long overdue episode of Feed the Monster. Yes sir, today we're feeding the monster on this scorching, hot and humid Mississippi summer day. We're going to feed the monster in a big way. So I am going to not mess around with it. I'm going to bring the camera over and set up and show you the feed. So here you go. The monster has been fed for a little while, at least. This is the new machine in the shop. It is I believe, a Martin DLZ 602. Made by the Martin company. I believe it's a German company. Makes now woodworking tools, fine woodworking tools. If you're a woodworker, you may be familiar with the Martin company. They make top quality equipment. So this is a Martin metal lathe. It was purchased by the original owner in 1985. I don't know who the original owner was, but I do have a receipt. I do have a shipping label. It is a roughly 20 by 102, 20-inch swing, 102 inch between centers. If you take out the gap, you will swing 29 here at the chuck. The machine overall is in good shape. We'll do some close-ups and some pictures of the various components of the lathe. So you're probably saying to yourself right now, Kilroy, fire this baby up. Let's make some chips. And while I did see this run, was able to run this machine before I moved it, I will admit, I did not open the electrical enclosure. That was probably a mistake. But I'm going to show you why I'm not going to fire it up. I'm going to start with this. Here's the disconnect. Yeah. Here's the electrical panel. So all those controls, including obviously the e-stop switch, aren't hooked to anything. This is just, there's so much wrong in here that I can't even start. So there is no disconnect. There is no resemblance of any type of current limiting device, i.e. fuse or circuit breaker. There is no other contactor, so reversing isn't possible. The e-stop switch obviously isn't hooked up, whichever wires those are in here. So that's it. Oh, and the contactor coil uses full line voltage, which I'm not a real big fan of. I prefer a 24 volt DC control voltage if possible. There's a electric socket over here that is of some European variant that's obviously not hooked to anything. Anyway, there's a variety of issues going on here. So I've got to completely rework this panel. I actually have a copy of the electrical schematics for the machine. It is in German, but it's schematics, so you can pretty much figure it out. And it isn't schematics for a complex device, obviously. So this is going to have to be added to quite a bit We'll need some sort of current limiting device, circuit breaker or fuses, preferably a disconnect. We'll need a reversing contactor configuration. We'll have to put in a power supply for control voltage. We will have to figure out what all these wires go to. I mean, we know what they go to, but which wires are what? And so we got some work to do here before I'm comfortable firing this thing up for sure. Here's this wire right here is picking voltage up off of the inbound hot, no fuse, goes off whoop into the machine, and God knows where it goes. So anyway, we got a whole lot of work to do here. There's so much messed up here. Yeah, if I had seen this, it probably would have given me great pause, because this just isn't proper. All right, here's the headstock and all of the headstock controls. So you have your usual lever here for forward and reverse. And this is your speed selector. This is your high range and low range selector, with red being the low range here. High range here. And then your various speeds here. A and B here, these are your the ones referenced in the threading chart, and C. And A, B, and C here, these are referenced in your threading chart. The lever D here, this is whether or not to feed the carriage from the feed rod or the lead screw. So whether or not you have the lead screw activated here is this lever here. On the control panel, typical master power e-stop. I believe this would have been for coolant, but there isn't a coolant pump currently in residence, and I think this might have been for a light, but there isn't a light in residence either. And so anyway, has a nifty little service feet per minute chart here. Information about the lathe, about the lead screw, which, like I said, is an Imperial lead screw, 2 TPI. So here's the tailstock. It does have a fast-acting type tailstock clamp, and you can adjust with these two nuts right here. This is your locking lever, and it's got a throw of about 6 inches, I believe. Yeah, exactly 6 inches. Everything works fairly smooth. It has a Morse taper 5 in the tailstock, and the tailstock barrel is 3 1/8 inches OD. There's some zerks here, which I believe somebody may have shot some grease in, so there may need to be some cleaning going on. So that might take place for most of the machine, actually. This is a typical fold open affair, round fingers, hardened rollers. Probably get you a capacity through the middle of about, all open, I'd say probably 5 inches through the middle. Here's that 4-jaw faceplate combo that I told you about. It's, well, right at, never mind, it's right at 19 3/4 inches. So I guess this would swing over the ways, so there you go. It has a 4 1/4 inch bore. All right, in this shot here, you can see one feature I really like and one I really don't. The one I really like is this headstock bore. Fantastic. You can pass a 4 1/16, I believe, so through the bore. The other one I don't really like is change gears. So yeah, it does use change gears to change between the different types. So you've got one change gear set up for metric and inch, and then you've got another change gear set up to do module and diametral pitch threads. So I've been cleaning here a little bit just to try to see exactly what change gear setup I've got. So but they've obviously been lubricating these with some kind of open gear grease, and let's just say it was kind of nasty up in here. Which brings up an interesting point. I don't have a manual. I have a manual for this in French. If anybody knows where they can get their hands on a manual, electronic version would be fine for a DLZ, Martin DLZ lathe in English, I would be very appreciative. Anyway, here's the motor. There is not a data plate on the motor anywhere. There's a data plate right here, which I guess is the next best thing. And this data plate says 220 volts, 60 amps. No, 220 volts, 60 hertz, 25 amps. I don't even know it. I can't read these numbers here. They're scratched up. Oh, there's the model number right there. So it's a DLZ 505, and you learn new stuff every day. So there you go. Anyway, no data plate on the motor. I believe, from what I've read online, that it's about a 14 horsepower motor. Even though 220 volts and 25 amps wouldn't be 14 horsepower. So we'll have to do a little more investigating there. So the monster has been fed. Let's discuss logistics. The machine is big and heavy, weighs about 8,500 pounds. Not that I'm not familiar with heavy around here, but the move of this machine, the acquisition of this machine, would have never been pulled off without the assistance of Mr. Todd Manning. You might have heard me discuss Todd in the past, in the way past. I've referred to him as the Blue Rag Man. He's visited the shop. I believe he was in a video many years ago. But anyway, Todd was instrumental in helping me get the machine here and get it moved in position. The man gave up 2 Saturdays to toil in significant heat and humidity here in Mississippi to help me move this machine around the old-fashioned way: pinch bars, rollers, and skates, right? So anyway, thank you very much, Todd. And this brings up question number 2, which I'm sure many of you are having right now. Well, what happened to the pacemaker? Well, Todd has it. And that's the deal we worked out. Todd helped me move the machine, get the machine in place, and I gave him the pacemaker. I also gave Todd the pacemaker because he's a good guy. He's got 2 young sons that he does a great job with, and he spends a lot of time with, and they were here for the move, and they were very helpful. 2 great young boys, and he's teaching them skills and And I decided when this lathe became available, I called Todd and said, hey, you still interested in the pacemaker? Yeah, you can have it. And I'll let him have it. And the good news is Todd's going to complete the gear repair. I gave him the gear cutter with the lathe. I also have offered my assistance. And so look for videos upcoming shortly from Todd on his channel, which is very much in his infancy. I don't even know the name of it. But you can look him up online under Todd Manning on YouTube. And I'm going to be assisting Todd with the repair of the gear and getting the pacemaker back up and running. And he has it moved to his shop, and he's very interested in doing that. So that's what happened to the pacemaker. This machine came available to me at a distance of about 50 miles at a reasonable price for a machine of its capabilities, specifically 4 inches to the headstock, metric threading, and it's in great shape. Physically, it's in fantastic shape. So I had to jump on it. There's not a big installed base of used industrial machinery in Mississippi. This isn't Ohio, right? Or Houston, Texas. Mississippi is an agricultural state. You want used tractors? We got you covered. You want used metalworking machinery? Not so much. So it's rare that I don't have to travel hundreds and hundreds of miles to acquire a machine. So when I get the opportunity, I pretty much have to jump on it. And I jumped on this one. So again, thank you very much, Todd. Thanks you, the viewers and subscribers. You guys, I get more out of your comments than you get out of me. I say that all the time, but it's true. This really is a community, and it's a community that I appreciate and enjoy. If you're not a subscriber, I would greatly appreciate you hitting that button and you hitting that bell so that you can see my future videos. It does help me out. So anyway, we're going to be working on the electrical in that machine very soon. I've ordered the parts. First steps are, fuses and reversing contactors, and then we'll go from there. I wouldn't mind doing some fun stuff on the control side, because I'm kind of a controls guy, and it would be kind of fun, I think, to do some cool stuff. Y'all let me know if you would find that interesting, and maybe a little PLC work. I do PLC work as part of my living, so if y'all would like to see some PLC work, let me know. I'd love to do some here, and maybe we can do some cool stuff with control. I thought about putting a drive on it, but it does have a fair range of speeds, and I don't really have room for a drive in that enclosure, and that enclosure is part of the box. Changing it would not be easy. So I think for the time being, I'm just going to go with a reversing contactor setup. So anyway, you guys keep on keeping on, be safe in the shop, and I'll be back with you soon.